Hey there, educator, and welcome back to the Make Math Happen podcast. Today's episode is just a little different. It's reflective and, as always, it's honest. And it's the bridge between where this podcast started years ago and where I want to take it next. So let's talk about the journey. When I began this podcast 4 years ago, I named it PD for the Soul. My mission was simple. I wanted to create professional development that was helpful, that was human, that was honest, something you could listen to on the way to work, during your planning period, while cleaning, or in the middle of whatever real life required from you at the moment. I knew that teachers didn't need another long meeting that wasn't action oriented. They needed something that left them with at least one next step they could take into their classroom and implement immediately. And that was the heart behind PD for the Soul. Even though I took a long break because life was lifing, when I came back in 2025, I returned with a different level of focus. This year has been a year of consistency, one of momentum, and honestly, a year that reminded me why I started podcasting in the first place. Since relaunching in January, we've covered topics that I cared so deeply about: teacher wellness, instructional clarity, frameworks and routines, disaggregating data, planning, student engagement, making learning meaningful, building capacity, honoring student identities, and navigating the reality of unfinished learning. And that is a reality that many of us are facing right now. Every episode was rooted in what I was living as a coach, what I was learning through graduate school and research, and what I was observing in the classrooms that I served. After this past summer series, I knew it was time for a shift. So we went from PD for the Soul to Make Math Happen. And that transition, that shift was intentional because I wanted to be explicit. I wanted to be direct with what it was that I was attempting to achieve. My goal is to bring you real strategies and real reflection, not theories floating in a vacuum. Everything I share is something I've studied and I've practiced, something I've had to figure out in real time because I am committed to becoming a better educator for my students and for the colleagues that I coach. Nothing about my journey has been traditional, though, and that matters. I didn't major in mathematics. I did not go through a traditional teacher preparation program. And it's important for me to share that because so often folks like to blame those of us who don't have a traditional pathway for the things that are happening in education right now. So it's important that I share with you that when I came into this profession, it was through an emergency pathway. My first teaching job, I had the license that said permit to teach. I passed my test on the first try, though. I worked hard. I earned my license. And from the moment that I stepped into that first classroom, I've been learning on the move. I've pushed myself to understand the content, the pedagogy, the research, the standards, the cognitive science behind learning, and the real work of helping students make sense of math. So when I share strategies with you, it's not coming from a place of, I read this once in a book. It's coming from years of trying, failing, improving, researching, practicing, and doing the work. I want every teacher listening to this to hear what I'm going to share with you next. You do not have to start in the right way to become the right teacher for your students. What matters is that you commit to learning, practicing, and growing. And this podcast has been my space to grow with you. In 2025, something shifted for me when I presented at Hive this past summer and most recently at the State Math Conference. I shared a session about the power of connecting concepts across domains and across grade levels. The same presentation in two different places, one in Florida and one in North Carolina. But both experiences pushed me to think more deeply about what it means to help teachers make math make sense. At the most recent State Math Conference, a teacher pulled me to the side at the end and he said, I see now how number lines show up so often, how they show up everywhere. And that one comment meant so much to me because that teacher walked away with exactly what I hope all of us walk away with at the end of good learning, a new understanding of something familiar. That's what we want for our kids, right? And that's the direction I'm leaning into. Season 4 launches in December, and it's the start of something bigger. For the next 6 months, we're going to walk through the domains of middle school mathematics, 1 month at a time. Geometry, number systems, ratios and proportions, functions, statistics and probability, and expressions and equations. Not as isolated units, not as chapters to survive, but as a coherent story. We're going to look at how each domain shows up in your grade level, how your grade level prepares students for the next step, how concepts connect across units, how to build the kind of coherence that saves time and deepens understanding. What it looks like to teach in a way that prepares students for the future instead of patching up the past. Every episode will give you something concrete that you could take into your classroom, your planning, or your reflection. And the goal is still simple. By the end of every month, you'll have a clearer understanding of that domain and how it fits into the larger math story. The one that you're telling in your next lesson, the one that you're telling across your unit, the one that you're telling across this year, and the one that's going to be told to those students across their middle school experience. This series is going to support teachers, it's going to support families, it's going to support students, and it's going to support your practice. If this podcast has helped you in any way this year, I'm going to ask you for two things. First, share it with a colleague. Sit with a teammate during planning and talk about what resonates with you. Use an episode to spark conversation, build community around the work. Second, reach out. You can message me on TikTok. You can email me. Tell me what you want to hear more about. Tell me what you want to understand better. Tell me what's happening in your classroom that we need to unpack together. This podcast is a partnership, and I want you walking into 2026 with clarity, confidence, and community. So as we close out November, I want to say thank you for being here. I want to say thank you for riding with me. I want to say thank you for rolling with me, for giving me the feedback, for rating the podcast. And for those of you who have been sharing already, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for growing with me. Thank you for giving me space to reclaim my voice as an educator, as a coach, and as a learner. Season 4 is about to stretch us. It's going to challenge us, and it's going to connect us in new ways. So let's make math happen together. I'll see you in December.